AWS S3 is one of the best places for you to put your content for your applications. It is often required to trigger some code whenever a file gets added or modified there, which is precisely what we're going to do today. Hello everyone, this is Marco speaking. Today we'll learn how to integrate AWS S3 with Lambda functions. So whenever we upload a file to an S3 bucket, our Lambda function will be invoked to do some task, which in our case is applying a watermark to an image, and then save the processed image into another bucket. Okay, great. So how this is going to work? So the user will upload an image to a bucket, and then the bucket will send an event to the Lambda function with the metadata for the file. So the Lambda function, in our case, will read the metadata, it will load the original image, and then it will apply a watermark to an image, and then this new image with the watermark will be saved to another bucket, which in our case is the output bucket. And that's it. If you want, you can modify the Lambda function to do whatever you want, like apply another effect or resizing the image or anything that you want. And that's it. So let's keep going with our project. But before we proceed, if you like this kind of content, just give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you can learn more about the AWS ecosystem. Don't forget that the more you will learn, the better you become and more value you can provide. So let's keep going. Okay, great. So these are the buckets that we're going to use. This is the first bucket where we're going to add the images, and we also were going to attach the event to trigger this Lambda function. So for now, I just have the watermark image that we're going to use to apply the watermarks to the images that we're going to upload to the bucket. So whenever we add a file to this bucket, we're going to trigger an event to this Lambda function, and this Lambda function will receive the image, it will apply the watermark to the image, and then it will save into this second bucket. So the npcsj test bucket input is going to be the input bucket that we're going to attach the event to the Lambda function, and the second bucket, the npcsj test bucket output, is going to be the output bucket, which is going to contain the same image as the input bucket, but applying the watermark to the image. And this is our watermark. So if I download the image, let's see the content for it. So this is the watermark, which is basically the logo for my YouTube channel. So basically, whenever we upload an image to the bucket, we're going to apply my logo to the image as a watermark. So let's do this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go to this bucket, the bucket that we want to apply the event to the Lambda function, and then we go to the properties section, and then we scroll to event notifications, and then we click to create a new event notification. So I'm gonna say this is call Lambda function to watermark, which is going to be applied to all images in the bucket to all create events. One thing which is important to emphasize is that in our case, we're triggering the Lambda function for all creation events. So whenever we update, we create, we duplicate, or we finish a multi-part upload to the bucket, the Lambda function will be triggered. But if you prefer, we can also trigger the Lambda function for removing objects from the bucket, restoring objects from the bucket, or another events available from AWS S3. I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can read more about these event types available by AWS S3. And for destination, you can call a Lambda function, you can call an SNS topic. In our case, I want to call a Lambda function. Keep in mind that the Lambda function needs to be in the same region as the bucket. So this bucket was created in the Oregon region. So the function also needs to be in the Oregon region so we can make the communication. So here we click to save changes. And that's it. Now when we go back to the Lambda function and then we reload the page. Okay, great. After reloading the page, you can see this card here, which indicates that there is a connection between AWS S3 and this Lambda function. So as we said previously, whenever we add file to the bucket that we configured before, the bucket will send an event to this Lambda function containing the metadata for the file added, and the metadata will arrive here into this Lambda handler. So let's keep going. So the next thing that you need to do is to make sure that the Lambda function, the IAM role for the Lambda function has the required permissions for your code to keep going. So in my case, since I'm going to read and save data into S3, I had to go to the IAM role and attach the permissions for doing this. So in my case, I added this Amazon S3 full access, which allows my Lambda function to read and save data into S3. So let's keep going. So since now we have the image and the bucket is already connected, so let's test our integration. So what I'm going to do, I'm going back to this bucket and then I'm going to add a new file into the bucket. So I'm going to click it here into upload. I'm going to drag and drop an image here for testing our integration. So this is the image that we're going to upload to the bucket. This is the image that I used into the AI voice assistant. So if you want to learn how to create an AI voice assistant using Python, AWS, and ChatGPT, I'm going to attach the link in the video so you can take a look. So let's keep going. So back to our bucket, I'm going to upload this test image to the bucket. And I'm just going to drag and drop here, and then we're going to upload. Okay, great. So the image was uploaded to the input bucket. So let's go back to our output bucket and refresh here. So here we have the image with the same key, but let's take a look. I'm going to download the image, and as you can see, it's basically the same image but applying my logo as a watermark. And that's it. Now you know how to integrate AWS S3 and Lambda functions for creating powerful serverless applications. I hope you liked it, and I see you in the next time.